Hey there, it's Rae Fancher, author of the 365-day Bible-based devotional, Finding Your Creative Bones. Today we're going to talk about the word of the day for day 12, which is instinct. Instinct is something that we all inherently have, but it's also something that's found throughout all of nature in one place or another. And one of the thoughts that I had was maybe instinct is one of those gifts that God gave us so that we could survive. And so animal life and everything could too. If you think about it, there's the fish, the salmon, especially. We all have heard about the salmon spawning and traveling upriver in order to lay their eggs. That what a miracle that is. Somehow a young salmon knows how to get back to where they were actually born and how to climb through rapids and over rocks and through fast running water to survive with animals that want to eat them for food. There's just all kinds of things that their instincts play a role in with their survival. And you just got to wonder, do we have a similar type of instincts that help us survive and help us recognize our faith? A lot of people believe, and I'm one of them, that we're pretty continually talked to by the Holy Spirit. And I have to wonder if that's not driven by instinct to know how to listen and be able to recognize what we're hearing as something important. One day, not too long ago, a couple months ago, I was in my car and I left my subdivision where I live, and I was up at the stoplight on a main road. That's how you get out of my subdivision. And I was sitting there waiting for the light to turn so that I could turn. And all of a sudden, I just had this thought, don't drive. And sure enough, an 18 wheeler ran the red light and he would have broadsided me with me on the side where he would have hit me. And it would have been highly unlikely I'd survive that, even though I drive a truck, because he was going probably 50 miles an hour plus. And I was so stunned by the fact that I had that "don't drive," and then that happened, like, seconds later. I believe that was instinct, and that instinct, I would say, was definitely connected to the Holy Spirit or the angels or something, because I am not sure what else it could have been, to be honest. Now, maybe there's something that I don't know or that others know or whatever, but I wasn't thinking about not going. I was planning on going. So anyway, I think that's a little miracle, to be honest, right there. And I'm grateful for it. I'm just messing around with some watercolor paints right now. The first ones I was using, it was Chinese watercolors. And I know that essentially primarily what came out of the tube to begin with, because 'cause I've used it for a while and I didn't sit and kinda mash it, was just some of the liquid out of it, but that's what I used to make these marks right here. I'm just putting something down on the canvas so that I'm not leaving it blank. I'll give it a minute to dry, but I'm just messing around is really all I'm doing, and now I'm coming back with some green, and I'm not too picky about what I'm doing, just playing. I like to play. This morning I went to a ceramics class and was playing with clay for a couple hours. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. This is definitely playtime. It was fun to work on the ceramics. When I was a little kid, I did ceramics for a while, and I was young, probably 7 or so, and I still have my pieces I made, but I haven't done it since then, but I do enjoy getting my hands into the clay, there's no doubt about that. It's messy, but it's really pretty fun to see what comes out. We got our first pieces that we had done back today, and that was nice. I'm not happy with this at all, so I'm going to just color in this bottom. Not get that off later. Color in this bottom. These are just watercolor pens. They're nice. Watercolor brush pens. It's a Cinnelaire. Probably not pronouncing it right. I think it's probably French Senier, perhaps. Anyway, it's an ink brush. They have a couple different kinds. I have some that have glitter in them. This is not one of those. This one is. It's an iridescent, so it has a real glittery feel to it. I'm gonna come back with some more of that blue and put it in there. I'll squeeze just a little bit harder. There we go. Got a little more pigment out of it. Like I say, we're just playing. And in just a second, I'm gonna start lettering the word instinct. The nice thing about blue and green is they go together, they mix together. You can see the color is much stronger now than it was a minute ago when I took it out. And the reason being I did mix some of the pigment in with the liquid. I'm just gonna let this be. And who knows what I'll wind up doing in the end. All right, let's clean the brush. I don't know if I can letter this with this so wet or not. I don't know. I probably would wind up dragging my hand through it. I think what I will do, I'm going to go ahead and take another piece of paper and use it, make a print off of it essentially. And then I'm going to take and do it again. The other way, turning it around. All right. Now let's see. Okay. I like that better. It's just fun, but it is funny that. There we go. Let's try this. See if we can get some more off. Okay, so I got a little bit more going around. I like that. I like both of them. I think they're nice. I'm going to go ahead and take my brush. Would have been nice if I thought to bring a napkin. So I'm just taking and kind of smearing these guys just a little bit that are in the center. A little bit of color out and around. Today's is going to be just totally abstract, which, if you've seen some of my paintings, that's right up my alley. All right, I have dried this and now we're ready to start. I'm going to go ahead and pencil in my letters real quick. And the reason is because I'm going to go down the middle instead of going across. So I just want to make sure I get them to where they'll fit. Okay, so I have a mix of caps and small letters. I'm going to fix that. I can erase my lettering from a little while. So tell me about your instincts and what you think about instincts. And also, today's devotion is focused a lot on, do you have to see to believe that God exists? What do your instincts tell you about that? Do you believe in God? And not so much that you believe in God, but do you believe that God gives you instincts that help guide you in how to live a faithful life? I do believe that is truth. I believe that God gives view. There's a mosquito buzzing me, so if y'all see it on the camera, I'm sorry. But anyway, I definitely believe that God, one, that He asks us to believe without seeing, that we don't have to have true visions of things, of Him, in order to believe. And the truth is, we shouldn't need that to believe. But there are people that, they live by the premise of seeing is believing. Well, okay, that does make sense. And there is some aspects of what happens in our lives is proof that God exists and faith exists. The miracles where someone healed and yet they weren't expected to. What happened to me and my truck related to that truck. There's no reason I shouldn't have went. I was watching the light, ready for it to turn. I knew it'd be happening soon, but I knew not to go. And I kid you not, it probably would have been fatal. That truck was moving. And it was a big semi with a full load on its back. So I was immensely grateful to God to letting me escape that. How do you feel about these things? I'd love for you to make a comment and let me know. I'd love to hear about any experiences you've had. I know that there have been many, there's that mosquito. There have been many moments in my life where I've noted this. Have you had moments where you felt like, why is something happening or why can't something happen? Why isn't this problem, whatever it might be? But I do, for the most part, always follow that up, if not immediately, pretty quickly afterwards. And don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect by any means. I am not saying that. But somehow instinctually, the thought always comes to my mind that it's going to be okay. I might have to learn something through this. I might have to experience something, whether I want to or not. But there's gonna be something that comes out of it that I can take a lesson out of or feel closer to God because of it, or I can be closer to a friend or a loved one. There's gonna be something of value out of it that I can find. And I think that's one of those faith instinctual kind of reactions that it happens or it doesn't to all of us. And I think it happens to everyone. It's just whether or not we connect to it. Do we allow those thoughts, exploration in our minds and our hearts to know that they are valid and that they're comforting in many ways and they help us? So I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this topic. I've already finished lettering this. Now I really need to let this dry. Oh, just so you know, I used a brush sign pen. It's a Japanese pen by Pentel, and they're nice. It's a very light brush, so it's very soft. I'm sure y'all saw that it mashes down. I imagine a good letterer can get the thick and thin lines much better than I can. I came back through and added some weight to some of my lines because it's just not necessarily something that I can do with this small pen. I have to practice a lot more. But the color is really lovely. But I also will say it's not permanent. So if it were to get wet at this point, it would run. But anyway, tell me about your instincts. And if you haven't already, if you'll subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate it. And remember, within the descriptive part, I do have a direct link to the devotional for day 12. I hope you have a wonderful day. I can't wait to see you again and letter with you. So take care. God bless. See you soon. Bye.